Hey everyone, it's me and you probably know about this one. Well, if you don't, then prepare yourself. Because today, we're going to be learning all about the creepy crawler of the deep, the sea spider. I mean, it looks like someone took the legs of a spider and attached them to a cartoon character, a human head, or any other body part. But you may be asking, if it's not a spider, then what is it? Well, it turns out they're more closely related to mites and ticks than anything else, all being part of a group called the As I said, they're not actually spiders, but many people would think that by looking at them, instead, they're more like tiny worms. They're also parasitic, which means they need to latch onto another animal to survive. They can't hunt on their own yet, so they choose a host, usually a jellyfish or a sponge. To catch their prey, they use their long legs to walk right up to it and then use their proboscis to suck out its insides. Their bodies are made up of several segments that can bend and twist in different directions, allowing them to squeeze through tight spaces or evade predators. Because of this flexibility, they do want to have to worry too much about getting stuck somewhere or being unable to escape if something tries to eat them. Sure, they're creepy and they look like spiders, but they're actually more closely related to mites and ticks. They can live in a variety of environments, and they have a pretty unique way of taking care of their young. So next time you hear someone say, "Oh, there's a spider in my bathroom," remember, it could be a sea spider and that it's not as bad as it looks. It's like a milkshake, but with a side of creepy. These parasites are known as Cymothoideae, and they can cause serious damage to the sea spider's body if left untreated. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button because it really helps us out. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. It's totally free, and you can always change your mind later. But if you do decide to stick around, you'll get to see some really cool stuff. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you're curious about the treatment, well, there's not much sea spiders can do about it. The only option they have is to try and brush the isopods off their body, which isn't always successful. When this happens, the isopods will attach themselves to the sea spider's exoskeleton and feed on their blood until they refold. This can weaken the sea spider and make it easier prey for predators, which is why it's important for them to stay healthy and parasite-free as much as possible. Since their bodies are so small, they're often easy prey for larger animals like fish and crustaceans. However, their speed and agility helps them avoid becoming someone else's lunch most of the time. And if you did, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing deep-sea creature content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, and stay attached to it until they're big enough to move off on their own. At this point, they've grown for more pairs of legs and are ready to start their adult lives. Most sea spiders live for about 1 to 5 years, but we do want to know exactly how long they live, because no one has ever seen them grow from birth to death in the wild. Why? Well, because they live in a similar way. Like spiders, male sea spiders carry their eggs on special legs called oviducts, which are modified pedipalps located near their mouths. Unlike spiders, though, these guys don't spin webs. Instead, they walk around on the ocean floor searching for food. Once they find something to eat, they use a proboscis, a straw-like mouth, to suck out the insides of their meal. Gross! However, despite their name, they are technically known as marine arthropods, which means they're invertebrates with jointed legs and a hard outer shell. And there are over 1,300 species of them. Now, we're going to be talking specifically about the Goliath or the Antarctic sea spider, which is called the Colossendies megalonyx. In fact, they're even found in places as remote as the Arctic and Antarctic. For the most part, they live on the seafloor where they can easily find food, but you might also find them living among corals, sponges, or near hydrothermal vents. They prefer colder waters and tend to avoid areas with lots of debris, since that could make it harder for them to hunt. There are other genera in the Pycnogonida order, such as the Endice genus or the Colossendies genus, but we'll be focusing on the Colossendies megalonyx for this video. They look weird, they look scary, and they look like nightmares, which is why in this video, we're going to be talking about what they are, what they do, how they live, where they live, and how long they live, so you can get all the facts straight and maybe understand that these weird creatures are actually pretty cool. So let's get started. Now, I don't know about you, but something about this guy just seems really wrong. First things first, the sea spider isn't even a spider. That's right. The name is totally misleading. You see, the reason they got this name is because they have long, thin legs that dangle down from their tiny bodies and kind of look like a spider. However, those legs are super long and thin, Some species only measure around 2 centimeters in length, while others, like the colossus and Ds, can grow up to 60 centimeters. This, along with their 8 eyes and 2 mouth cones that extend forward from their heads, makes them look very, very creepy. But of course this can be deceiving, and underneath all that weirdness lies some pretty fascinating biology. So now that we know what they are, let's talk about why they're called sea spiders in the first place. Let's start with their life cycle. When the eggs hatch, they don't look like little sea spiders. As far as where they live, they can be found at depths from shallow waters to 7,000 meters below sea level in all of the world's oceans. Speaking of hunting, these guys are carnivores. They feed on soft-bodied organisms like sponges, jellyfish, and sea anemones. In addition to being fast, they're also incredibly flexible. However, they're not completely safe from danger. Sometimes a parasitic isopod will crawl onto their bodies and start sucking their blood. But luckily for them, this doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes life is pretty good for these little guys. Alright, that's a wrap. We hope you learned something new and fascinating about the strange and mysterious sea spider. Hey, real quick, before you go, I wanted to say thanks for watching this video.